Welcome, everybody, to Liberation Day, the greatest day of 2025, because President Trump will free us from those evil Canadians that are doing all kinds of bad things to us, something related to fentanyl. I have no idea, but we're here to talk about it. So how's everybody doing today? Everybody in a good mood today?
Yeah. I am.
Okay. Yeah, I know, Sami. Sami, I think we should start with the same topic we've talked about every week for the last 6,000 years, Tesla. So, you had this, Sami's been sort of at war with Tim Walz because Sami's been long Tesla. I think you've been in and out of it. So, Sami, if you could provide us with an update on Tesla.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. I'm actually half Canadian, so I can say bad things about Canada. So that's why.
I see, Mike. All right. So Tesla, I had that big position in it from 235 to be exact. 235. It's up like 150K. The problem is with Tesla for me was, where do I raise my stop to? I didn't want to keep my stop down here. So where do I put my stop? So I didn't know where to actually put my stop. So I decided to give it, you see this bar, that's 256. Yeah, 256.33. So I decided to give it to 256, but give it a little bit more to 250 to the whole number. And it got to 243. So I actually got trailed out. But on the way down, I also hedged with the TSLQ. So it didn't, I didn't give it all back. So I hedged with the TSLQ. And then I decided to get back in it because I felt like this is a shakeout. I mean, took out the prior support only to end up getting bought. The 20 is starting to hook. So I ended up getting back in it. So today, when it was down 6-7%, I was thinking for sure I'm going to get stopped out. This is 243. It should be. Yeah, it's 243.36. So that was going to be my stop. So I figured, with today's gap down, I'm definitely going to get stopped out because I wasn't expecting the market to also get bought. I thought the gap in the market was bearish. Luckily, I saw on the 5-minute chart that it looked good. It held up. And so I said in the room, if you're not in Tesla, this should hold up. And that's what it did. So it did amazing. And I think the bottom is in on Tesla. And I think the bottom is in on the market. If you look at the daily, the 20 is starting to hook. So it looks good. If you look at the Qs and the SPY, it's not good. The declining 20, resistance above. So I shouldn't have said just a second ago the market is bottomed. Right? Correct. I shouldn't have said that. What I should have said, to be exact, is I don't know for sure that the market is bottomed, but what I do know for sure is if we take out today's low, and more accurately, if we take out yesterday's low, we should be lower longer term. We should have another big drop. If we take out today's low, probably safer to say yesterday's low as well. That bar needs to be taken out, but even today's low, that would be if we take it out, we should be lower. So again, I don't know for a fact that the market is bottomed. I don't know for a fact that Tesla has bottomed. But what I do know, for a fact, almost, you never know for sure, but almost for sure that if we end up taking out today's low, we should be much lower. So that's kind of my take on Tesla. That's my take on the market. The thing about it is that Tesla looks way better than the market. The 20 is starting to point up, right? The weekly looks pretty good, whereas the market doesn't look as sexy at all. I mean, look at the Qs. Sure, today's bar was pretty bullish, but look above. So I don't know, but I am considering this to be the bottom, unless, of course, and you know what to say, unless we take out today's low, maybe also yesterday's low, but even today's low, we take it out. I think we're lower longer term. But for now, I'm just gonna pretend like we've bottomed, and I'm gonna trade accordingly. So that's kind of my take on the market and Tesla. Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, all right. I'll throw it over to Tesla is over 280 now. Somebody's telling us in the chat. Trump tells Inner Circle that Musk will leave soon, according to Political. So, JR, I'll toss it over to you. I know you were playing with Tesla today in the room, probably doing some improper things to it. But I mean, would you rather see Tesla and also the market down into the tariff announcement this afternoon?
What was the question? Would I rather see what?
Would you rather see the market weaker into the tariff announcement later today?
I don't care. As long as it's a chart I can read, I don't care. We played Tesla like a fiddle today. I got to say, you got, if you're looking at gamma exposure in Tesla, you got a strong sort of intermediate sitting at 280. And then if they crack that, you could squeeze it to 300 and beyond. But those are your two big gamma walls there. Tesla. Let me share my screen here for a second. This is just my thought, and I think Sami was right on, and a lot of what he said, I completely agree. I'm just going to give you my thoughts for 2 seconds. This is what I was thinking. So Tesla really likes to obey certain anchored VWAPs, and you can see here you had a gap fill reversal, and today you gap lower. You put it in the piercing engulfing reversal bar on the daily, but what I was looking for was for Tesla to hold this red line, the anchored VWAP, which it did, and then in the morning we were short Tesla into the report, killed it, and I told my room I think all potential bad news is priced in here, and I think they're going to rally Tesla off the open. So we reversed long off the open and proceeded to catch like a 10, 12 point move, and then it's just been scalper's paradise the rest of the day. We're just buying every pullback and getting back in there. I'm still long TSLL from 2 Fridays ago, and that was a pain in the ass to hold, but that was a real pain in the butt to hold. But I've been telling my room for the past week, there is a strong underlying bid in Tesla. If you compare the Tesla chart to, say, Microsoft, Microsoft made a new low past the Friday rally, right? Apple, right? Tesla just looks much stronger as a chart. It has a stronger underlying bid. I believe that it has bottomed, and I expect at least a move to 300, if not 340 from here. It's been a real pleasure to trade.
Interesting. Sami actually gave us specifically 342 last week as a possible target for Tesla. Okay, Derrick, we know you always have stronger
Changing my mind. Sorry, I'm going with JR. 340 is it.
Okay, all right. Let it be known, Sami has lowered his price target on Tesla from 342 to 340. Derrick, are these two guys crazy for thinking Tesla can go to 340?
I don't think that they're crazy for thinking that at all. I mean, this is a very high beta stock that has really big movements. And I think we just said this last week, even if it's going to go to $100, it's going to have really, really big rips along the way. It makes it a very tradable stock, or you can trade it potentially in both directions. So I remember it was just last week that Sami was long and I was short, and I said, hey, there's a possibility that we both make money on this because we're trading on a little bit different time frames, a little bit of a different trade. And lo and behold, we both did. I got the pullback from 290 or whatever it was that I was looking for, where I was able to make like $20 or so on that short. Sami was already long, gave back a little bit of open P&L, but again, just different time frames enabled us to both make money. So that's great. The car sale numbers that came out this morning for Tesla were absolutely atrocious. The company, from a fundamental perspective, just continues to implode. I mean, they were really, really bad. Those European car sales numbers were really, really bad. So you have a company here with declining growth that is still trading at a really expensive price because there's just such a cult that has developed around Elon Musk. But I think that bubble is bursting. Now, we just saw, and this is what made this thing really rip higher, that there is chatter that Elon is going to be leaving Doge in the next, I don't know, couple weeks maybe, that is definitely very, very short-term bullish for the stock. One of the big negatives that I've been consistently saying about the company is this guy is too distracted. He's running 7 companies and he's like trying to reform the US government at the same time. It's just a little bit crazy. And at the same time, you know, Tesla as a company isn't doing very well. So this is short-term super bullish. Getting back up to 300, 340, I think is definitely possible. In the bigger picture, I think that the damage is done. The reputational damage, the brand damage is completely done. It's still, you know, it's great short-term, give a great short-term boost for this stock, especially if the market moves higher, which I'm also expecting the market to move higher. So these types of names should really be able to benefit from that. But in the big picture, you can't deny the expense of the stock with the growth and the fact that nobody's buying these cars anymore. So big picture, I'm bearish. Small picture, do you want to be jumping in front of this train to the upside right now as Elon is potentially leaving Doge and could get to 340 like the price target that these guys have? Definitely not.
Okay, all right. Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about the metals because it's sort of been a stealth bull market. We've seen, you know, gold, silver, platinum, copper. All the metals have been going through the roof this year. So I'll throw it to you, JR. So you gave early last year 3,000 target on gold. You recently told me 32.25 as your target price for gold. You've also been bullish on silver. Do you still think like the metals are the place to be?
Anymore. You're catching the tail end of the trade, and it's going to be very crowded with retail traders. You know, this was an institutional trade, a massive multi-year accumulation a year ago. Now you're a late money long, and you know what happens to hogs, right? So you don't want to chase this one.
Do they get turned into bacon?
They get slaughtered, buddy.
Very, very sad.
In a remedial saying school. Unbelievable, this guy.
Okay, Sami, I think you gave a silver. I don't know if I'm crazy, but I thought I remember you giving a silver play sometime over the last couple of weeks. Are you getting involved in the metals at all?
The only metal I'm getting involved in is the Tesla Roadster, which I can't wait to get. I'm kidding. Okay, let's take a look. So what should I look at? GLD? I mean, wow. PSLV? Yeah, I've been bullish on gold and silver, but I don't think I have any longer term plays. I had the ASM. That was the last one that I had, and it trailed out. But I don't think I have any gold or silver stocks, but they've been really bullish. So yeah, look at the HMY. Am I projecting, by the way? I'm probably am.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think I have any open plays that are in gold and silver. AG has a buy setup. That's not too bad. What are some other names? Gold. What about GOLD? That's basing for a breakout. And then AEM. Let's take a look. Very, very bullish, but the entry should have been over here. So as JR said, you know, probably a little bit late right now. Probably a little bit late, far from the 20, the GLD. So wouldn't chase, but the at least gold is super bullish. The silver ETF is SLV. Yeah, it's not as bullish, not as hot, doesn't have as much momentum, but this is an uptrend with clearly higher lows, right? Higher highs. So I wouldn't bet against it. I wouldn't bet against silver and gold for sure.
Okay. All right. I want to talk about this IPO mania that's come back over the last few days. We've seen CoreWeave, NewsMax, WTF. So actually, I want to ask you, Derrick, what you think of this, because this is definitely meme stock territory, because CoreWeave, in the course of 2 days, everybody basically threw it in the trash. It went to 36. Now it's at like 66. Do you think this actually says anything about the broader market?
So it's interesting. CoreWeave, I very quickly went from like super bearish on it to actually pretty bullish, just with how the story evolved there. to me, what do we regularly see with IPOs is that they open up for trading on the secondary market, oftentimes at a large premium to what the actual IPO price was. So like with CoreWeave as an example, I think that they were looking to price it somewhere between like 45 and 48. And in my head, I was like, all right, they're going to price this thing at 48. They're going to open it up at 65. They've got tremendous revenue growth, but they've got some debt problems, and they're probably going to have to raise more money for continuing operations at some point soon. And they just lost a lot of business that they were doing with Microsoft. If they open this thing in the 60s, I'm shorting it. And then I guess the story evolved over the course of that week. They decided to IPO it at 40. They reduced the float, which I thought was really notable. And then when they got that thing open, I was like, if this can get above 40, they could probably really run this, because there's a lot of big players that are involved here who are incentivized to see this go higher, who are not going to be first day sellers on this thing. So I actually traded it to the long side on the IPO day. I made a few dollars with it, but when it closed at 40, I was just like, all right, it's closing at 40, it's closing at the IPO price. I'm just going to liquidate the position. I can always reassess next week. And then I was saying on Tuesday morning, everyone make sure to have an alert out for this thing for $40, because if it can break that 40, that's still a key price. The exact same mechanics can come in and they can really run this thing. And lo and behold, that is exactly what happened. I have no interest in chasing this thing in the 60s. That was the trade. You got it or you don't. The thing about these IPOs, and now we could talk about NewsMax, is that they trade with very like low tradable floats initially. So you got to be very, very careful shorting those types of things when they are moving higher, because the fundamentals, stuff like that, I know Sami never thinks the fundamentals matter, but the fundamentals, like especially do not matter when it comes to these IPOs that have these lower tradable floats. I said it on day 2 of NewsMax. I was like, guys, maybe today we see NewsMax 500. Maybe today we see NewsMax 5. It probably belongs more at like $5 to $25, but if it's able to go to 100, it's able to go to 250, it's able to go to 500, it's able to go to 1,000. I mean, how many times have we seen that happen with like the HKDs of the world? So not surprised to see these things run. I don't want anything to do with trading that NewsMax. The borrow is super, super expensive. So I got to pay a lot of money to put on a lot of risk to short it, where they could potentially just continue to rip this thing against me. So for me, the short isn't a void. It is just way, way too dangerous and not worth the cost of the borrow. The long, you missed it. Either you got it from CoreWeave from day one from yesterday at 40. You got NewsMax from day one to the long side, and maybe you're just kind of riding that trend and trying to trail it or something like that, or you don't. You come in and you chase NewsMax long at $250, you're probably going to get destroyed. You come in and you short NewsMax at $250, there's a good chance that you get destroyed. It's not something I have an interest in at this point. You're muted, Mike.
Whoops. JR, are you playing with any of these IPOs? Do you think they say anything about the market?
Look, there's...
I can tell JR thinks it's a silly question.
There's a certain group of degenerates and robots that are going to congregate around certain stocks for a variety of technical and fundamental reasons. On NewsMax, I told my trader this turn, when it was the 250, I said this thing's going to $20 in a couple of weeks. Like, this is absolute nonsense. And I told everyone, like, be really careful chasing it. Like, did I scalp it? Like, sure. It was there. There were really good setups from time to time. But, as someone who runs a room, I got to be really careful and try to contextualize some of these opportunities for traders who are maybe novice or intermediate and could be running into real danger. So I got to be really careful around names like that so as not to, inadvertently lead my traders down a very shady part of town, let's say.
Oh, JR, if a trader wants to stop being a degenerate, what advice would you give them?
Trade something that moves, with a little bit more grace, a little bit more conservative, like Tesla. You're only moving 20 points a day. I mean, Do you need 200 points in a day? Go for a more conservative, $15 to $20 ATR on a $200 stock. See how you like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we have to go bananas?
Because more is more. I think it's as simple as more is more. Okay, Sami, do you ever trade? I mean, I've known Sami for like 6,000 years. Do you ever trade these IPOs?
Not very often, because they're too spready and too wild the first few days. So I don't usually trade them. What I liked about the CRWV is, notice how it broke down initially. It took out the IPO days low, and then it reversed. So that's confirmation that it's higher. Whereas if you look at NewsMax, it just shot up, or the WTF, it just shot up, and so you didn't get to see the bear side. So okay, shot up, that's bullish, but what about what's going to happen when the bears show up? And we can see it in the WTF, it collapsed. NewsMax, NWAMX, I think, yeah, it dropped a lot. So again, very, very bullish, but it's not tested. The CoreWeave, CRWV, yeah, so it's tested because it tried to go lower and failed. So that's much better than just going up straight up. But normally I don't really play these because they're too wild. Would you believe that you're not supposed, I mean, by law, the IPO shares are not supposed to be shortable the first 3 days, or I guess they become available on the 3rd day. But would you believe that I remember when Meta or Facebook at the time went public, and I shorted it on the day that it went public, and the law was in place, but the broker allowed me to short it, and I wasn't aware that there was that law that you're not supposed to short it. And I remember it closed exactly at $38, which was the IPO price. It opened at 38, shot up, and then closed exactly at the lows. And I thought Facebook is in big trouble. And sure enough, it ended up selling off. And I think it kept dropping to 12 or 17 or something before it went back up. But so, IPOs I don't usually do. They're too wild for me. The last time I remember doing an IPO, maybe I'm sure I've done other IPOs since Facebook went public, but that's the one that comes to mind, and I'm surprised that I was able to short it at the time. But yeah, most of the time I don't touch them the first few days until they settle down and they become calm like me. Then I can do them.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Blubberhead is saying it's liberating to be a degenerate. I agree. This is America. Be who you want to be. Okay. All right. So we've had some very controversial conversations over the last few weeks over pizza. We've had especially pineapple pizza has been a hot topic in this community, and it's been creating a lot of problems. I didn't speak to. I'll just say there's some people I was thinking about kicking off the show after what they said about pineapple pizza, but we'll talk about that next week. So we need to talk about breakfast sandwiches. So I need to know from each of you. I'll start with Derrick because Derrick's from Long Island. So I feel like he will have the best handle on this. Derrick, what is the best breakfast sandwich?
I have very strong opinions here. And as a matter of fact, I recently had a friend mail me out some Long Island bagels to Idaho because I just couldn't do it out here. I just couldn't do it with these non-New York, specifically, it's very specifically bagels from Long Island. They're better than the bagels from New York City. You have to go to Long Island specifically. It's one of the few things that place has to offer. Anyway, egg and cheese on a bagel. All right. It's no meat, no bacon, double egg and cheese on a bagel. American cheese is a great way to do it. That's the classic way to do it. Makes for a great sandwich. Now, when I do it myself, when I make my own egg and cheese sandwiches before I go skiing on the weekend, I make that egg sunny side up, and I kind of boil it in there a little bit. So just as that yolk is starting to white over, so it still is going to be really, really juicy, and then you can get the juices to pop up through the middle of the bagel and like come all over the top. And if I'm doing it myself, I'll usually use like a Gouda cheese compared to an American. But the classic way is just that double fried egg and cheese on a genuine New York bagel. That's the way to do it. There are no exceptions.
Okay, Sami. All right, Derrick said no meat, which that surprised me a lot. I don't even know what to say. Sami, what do you think? What is the best breakfast sandwich?
I have no idea, bro. I don't eat sandwiches. I mean, I rarely have a sandwich, but if it were up to me, I would just I would say a breakfast burrito. How about that?
Breakfast burrito is actually a superior choice. Okay, JR, what do you think?
Is a burrito a sandwich?
It's not a sandwich.
Is a burrito a
It's superior
sandwich?
delivery method for
Sami,
food.
come over. I will make you breakfast. I'll change your world.
Wow.
This is wrong. I can't think. This is un-American. Listen, it's very simple. As a Brooklyn boy from Ditmas Park, here's how it is, okay? You grab yourself a hero, okay? 2 eggs and some cheddar American cheese. You wrap it up in tinfoil, you call it a day. This is a ridiculous conversation, Michael. It's un-American. I will not have it. Burritos.
The cheddar is
Okay.
a bold choice. It's a bold choice to go with the cheddar. I'm not going to hate on it, but it's a bold choice.
It is bold. I hear you.
Okay, first of all, 2 eggs is not enough for a hero. Even in 2025, with egg prices where they are now, you need more than 2 eggs for a hero.
That's all you need, man.
All right, my choice is a sausage, egg, and cheese on a bagel, which I think is better than a bacon, egg, and cheese. And if I'm at home, it's eggs, pancetta, and goat cheese on a bagel.
Wow.
If I'm feeling fancy.
That is pretty fancy.
But I have to say, yeah, Mr. Blubberhead agrees with me. Mr. Blubberhead is now one of my favorite people in the world. Adrenaline, caffeine, and desperation. 2 cheese and mayo from the bodega in Brooklyn. Monica's giving eggs and feta. Yes, Michael speaks the truth. I agree. Michael does speak the truth. Again, eggs, pancetta, and goat cheese. That is the way to go. I'm going to consider myself the winner of this segment. I think I was right. Next week, we'll be talking fried chicken, so please stay tuned. Okay, so we need to talk about ideas. I have a lot of money I need to put to work in the next 3.5 hours because I want to bet big. I don't want to be some little child. I want to bet big. Now, Sami, you and I, we had a little odd conversation. You said you are almost out of ideas. So can you share with the good people of the universe the one name you like right now?
Actually, maybe a couple of names. I talked about it last week, I think. AIG. I love it. But this is a boring old company that's going to take an eternity to work. This is a long-term play. It's not a short-term play. So notice how it's based for a few weeks. This is a few months. This is a monthly chart, and finally broke out. And then I don't know how to read this chart, like in terms of we're breaking out over 20 years worth of basing, not 20, maybe 16. So I don't want to say, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to get too excited that it's breaking out over 16 years worth of basing, because that's probably not basing. That's just squished because of that drop that it experienced in 2007, 2008. But it really does look great long term. So I love the AIG. We have a position in it. We'll see. And then I also like, from the China stocks, I actually like the TAL quite a bit. I do have a position in it too. It needs to stabilize a little bit here, and then it should pop. But I did notice before coming on the mic that the China stocks are really weak. So if the China market, I didn't mean to type IWR, that's real estate. If the China market drops, which it's not looking good, then I don't know how good the TL is going to be. That's a China name, but the FXI is pretty weak. BABA is pretty weak. So I'm not entirely sure about it, but I am sure about the AIG. Love it. So those are the plays that I like at the moment.
Awesome. AIG. Everybody remember those letters, AIG. We'll recognize Richard in the comments talking about smoked salmon, creme fraiche, and caviar topped with a sprig of dill. And he's inviting Derrick up to Alaska. We will we will get. I'm going to send in a request for approval to send Derrick to Alaska because I think Derrick does need to try this. Okay, Derrick, we'll move on to you. Is there anything you like right now, or are you in wait and see mode?
So I kind of, it's tough because we got a big event after the close today, and then we've got a really big event on Friday with the employment number. But I kind of like this market long through this event today, at least in the short run. There's a lot of things that might happen after the close today with the tariff announcement, and it sounds like the White House themselves don't even know exactly what they're going to say yet, which is a little bit scary, but that's what all the reports indicated last night. Maybe they made up their mind by now. I certainly hope so. But there are a few different potential announcements that they might make over tariffs, and some are worse than others. And if it's one of the lesser ones, then I think that there's a chance that we see a real, we see the VIX really come down, and we see a Vegas squeeze come out of the market, similar but different to what we saw immediately after the election, where everybody who's hedged has to unwind those hedges, and it leads to just a really big short-term pop. And then bigger picture, we're going to get to see the implications of these policies on growth. So where my head's at right now, just generally speaking, because I always got to start with the market before I go to any individual stocks, is I am cautiously optimistic that you can be short-term bullish, but potentially for a very big move. So that's what I'm positioned for now. There is a chance that he comes out and says the worst case scenario tonight, and then the market does get cracked, and I'm very long right now, so I'll probably get smoked if that happens, and it's fine because I think that the risk reward is to the upside here, and that's what I'm looking for. And then into that move, similar to what we saw at the last big bounce, I will be looking to rapidly de-risk on my longs and kind of get into some more real shorts to then see what the actual numbers look like for inflation and growth. So as far as individual stocks go, I mean, take your pick. I like some of the most beaten up names for the biggest jumps. So think your short basket of stocks, your meme basket of stocks, your growth companies. I mean, I'm in so many positions right now. I'm long IonQ, I'm long NBIS, I'm long SPIR, I'm long PayPal, I'm long Unity, I'm long Path, I'm long SoFi, I'm long Snap, I'm long the Trade Desk, I'm long AMD, I'm long Google, I'm long JD, I'm long Alibaba, I'm long Chevron, I'm long Valaris, VAL. Just so many that I'm long right now. It's almost like take your pick, and I think some of the most beaten up ones can potentially give the largest bounces. Outside of that, I do still like the China trade. Just to echo Sami. Alibaba, a little bit weak today, which I think makes sense in front of the tariff announcement. But broadly speaking, as long as it continues to hold this like 129 to 130 area, I do still like it. I am long Alibaba. I also got long recently JD.com again. JD is in a range here, so as long as it continues to hold above this like $39 to $40 area, I think it looks good, and that these things can eventually work their way higher as well. So that's where my head's at.
Okay, JR, how about you? You like anything?
Well, I've been telling my traders for the past week, if we didn't have this monkey on our back with the Liberation Army Day or whatever the hell they're calling it, the resistance. I'm not part of the resistance, but apparently we're getting an announcement this afternoon. I was telling my traders I would be going on a massive shopping spree again, and that there's that line in the movie Predator. If it bleeds, kill it. Well, I would be telling my guys if it moves, buy it. I think this is we're seeing a clear picture of accumulation into a seasonally strong month in April, right? End of quarter, we were getting some encouraging inflows. Like everything looks set to go higher, but like who knows what's going to happen when this guy talks at 4 today? I have no idea, and I'm going to stick to the chart. If the market ignores the tariff thing and it's a buy the news event, then I'll be riding that wave. If the market sells the news, that's then we'll see. We'll have a full ABCD type move, and we'll be looking at Qs at 419, 420. Like that could happen too. So, I'm still really long Tesla. I have a lot of Tesla exposure to the upside, and the position is doing great. But I have to respect the fact that it's really hard to predict what the market is going to do. I feel like there's still a lot of optimism that Trump is going to find a modicum of empathy and common sense and whatever else, and just be a little bit more reasonable with the tariffs. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I think that this market still hasn't fully priced in the absolute disaster a D-leg would do to the market lower, and we're talking like a big D-leg lower, not a small one. So my position is to be a day trader, be who I am, watch the charts, and basically do whatever the chart tells me to do. Right now, today, very early on, I said rally caps on, guys. The market's rallying. Let's see if we can make a 786 retracement in this booth. The S&P futures look great. NASDAQ futures look great. Let's go long. Who knows what tomorrow may bring? You got to take this market one day at a time. These are very unusual times. This is not business as usual. They are very unusual times. We've never seen this happen before. We're looking at the potential dismantling of the modern world order since the Bretton Woods Committee. This is not business as usual, and I think this market has not done truly pricing in the risks and understanding what's happening. It seems to me like this administration is figuring out as they go along. I don't get a warm and fuzzy vibe when I see Besant contradicting Trump every 5 minutes. Like, this is not good. Okay, and I don't think the market likes it one bit. And if you think that we have to bounce here, honestly, I think you're out of your mind. We could go a lot lower, guys. So buckle up, trade the chart in front of you. Okay, the market doesn't have to do anything that you think it has to do. It could go a lot lower. Be careful. Trade with caution.
Caution. JR, I think the CA's got you pushing too many pencils. Anyway, folks, I did do a little research, and at least according to ChatGPT and other sources, that a burrito is not a sandwich. Shocking news.
If you can't see what's inside, it's not a sandwich. Come on. Simple as that.
So it's good. So by that logic, once I cut the burrito open, it becomes a sandwich?
Then it's just a messed up burrito, bro.
JR is wrong.
Why are you having a burrito to begin with?
Breakfast burrito.
You should be asking yourself.
Breakfast burrito is a superior food.
All right.
So Sami is. I'm going to crown Sami the champion.
Go enjoy your pineapple pizza elsewhere. That's all I got to say.
We don't allow that in my pineapple pizza is not allowed. It's not okay.
When you're a busy man like me, a breakfast burrito on the go is the easiest, cleanest option.
Oh my God.
Might be the easiest. It ain't the cleanest.
It's the cleanest.
All right, we're gonna get a GoPro on Sami. He's gonna eat the breakfast burrito with his left hand and trade with the right hand.
Oh, I've done that.
That's why God made hotkeys.
Inside the Tesla, Sami. You have to do this while inside the self-driving Tesla.
While napping also?
You can. I know you're a good multitasker. Okay, everybody, seriously, thank you for coming along with us on this fun journey today. Good luck on Liberation Day. Be positive, be optimistic, and take care of each other. Okay, everybody, I don't know. Bye.
See you, fellas.